The #1 warrior in the world is a man named Dergrel. I tried to find out in his streams, and I think he doesn't. That's all I could find about him. He's in one of the top kills in Europe, Dragon Slayers, but the question I got right now is how? And after I started looking into it, I came into something really weird. If you take a look at his armor, it is might, and might. He has molten core gear, and he somehow managed to hit rank 1. And you might be thinking this might be because he got lucky with Thunder Fury. No, he's using Brutality Blade as an offhand, as he's using Chromatically Tempered Sword as a main hand. He even got the Spear from Onyxia. Nothing of this is the gear that you would expect the #1 guy in Blackwing lair to have, but this man has it, and he's not the rank 1 on All Stars, guys. He is outright on DPS. Of course, this piqued my curiosity. How do you do that? So I decided to go to one of his 99 fights. Firemaw is perhaps the best of these, because if you're in a high level guild like he is, you don't move away, you just take the damage and you're expected to heal through it. You got protection potions, all that stuff. So it should be a straight up just tank and spank for him from his perspective, single target DPS, and he achieved 3800 DPS. So let's take a look at what he did. One thing you're gonna see is that this is a 1 minute kill of Firemaw, so this is a pretty fast kill. Firemaw has a lot of HP, guys. I don't even know what it takes me to kill him with like 25 people, probably like 3 or 4 minutes. It is a long fight. Of course, that means that he had very high uptime on his cooldowns, his recklessness, his death wish, whatever it is. He got all of that. But let's take a look at his build for a minute. As I told you guys, he got a sword and an offhand. He is dual wielding, and he's going for a standard Fury build. If we take a look at his runes, he's going for Rallying Cry here. That one is kinda useless. He's going for Consumed by Rage to make his Slam and his Whirlwind hit twice as with 2 weapons, I mean. Actually, that's Blood Surge. He's using Blood Surge, so his Slam hits with both weapons. But yeah, that's why he's using both of these. Pretty standard for a dual wield build. For the chest, he's going for Raging Blow, which is not usually standard for a dual wielding build, but I've seen it before. The bracers is going Rampage. That is very, very standard. People keep saying to me that Wrecking Crew was gonna be good. It's not good. It's not good. For the back, of course, he's going for Fresh Meat. Once again, lots of people kept telling me that Sudden Death was gonna be the way. It is not the way. Fresh Meat is 20% damage, guys. It doesn't get no better than that. For the hands, he's gonna be taking Single-Minded Fury, 10% attack speed and 10% more when we start auto-attacking. Very simple, very strong. More Heroic Strike, more Boom Boom. And for the head, of course, he's gonna be taking Endless Rage, which also means no rend. This, if you really look at it, guys, it is like a very vanilla, like actual vanilla rotation that he's doing. And for the rings, I saw something really weird here. He's taking double sword specialization because he has 2 swords, yes. And I don't know if that's a Warcraft logs bug, but I think the reason that he's not taking defense, because when you got 2 of the same weapon, usually you want to take defense, because what else are you going to take, right? I think the reason that he chooses not to take defense is because this guy is such a tryhard that defense reduces the chance that he's going to get crit, and that means the chance of getting enraged if he ever gets hit goes down, and that means his parses are going to be a little bit worse. Because as you guys know, the Enraged talent right here, you get 25% damage if you get crit. What are the chances that not only he's gonna get hit, but crit? Very low. He's a DPSer, he's not pulling aggro. So I don't know if that's actually the rationale he's going for, or if Warcraft logs just bugged out. It could be either one. It could be that he just forgot, and since defense is not a stat for DPS, he doesn't really care. It could be either of that, but in good conscience, I am gonna tell you guys to go for defense instead. If you are not on the rank 1 race, you probably don't care about getting rid of defense rune. That's just crazy. Of course, if you got 2 different weapons, like a sword and a mace, you take a mace or whatever, and same stuff, right? Okay, this is rather odd. Execute does not show up on his rotation or anything, but if you go to his damage, there is here 1 execute. He hit Firemaw twice, 6 times. What? It doesn't say casts here though. Is it because... No, that doesn't make any sense. Instant abilities are all here. He didn't take the execute rune or anything, so Okay, let me see another fight. Maybe this fight is like a glitch or something. Okay, we're in Chromagos, and he hits 9 times. Okay, he does execute. He does execute. It didn't show up in the cast before for some reason. Does it show up now? No. That's very weird. I wonder why that is. Okay, he's not taking the execute rune. I am not trusting my eyes right now. Very well, we're gonna have to judge through the damage done chart here. Very well, let's take a look at the end here. It's a shame we're not gonna be able to see his rotation in detail in Warcraft logs. That's gonna be a little tricky. But he does start to do execute. You can barely see it here, the green one, at the very end of the fight. He keeps casting Heroic Strike a little bit when he can, and he does Bloodthirst whenever it's up. You can see right there what is the difference between each other here. 25, 30, yeah, that's 5 seconds apart. 6-second cooldown. That would seem to add up. It is weird though. Why is it this way? Shouldn't it be like one tick and then it's done or something? How is this entire thing calculated? Okay, there we go. We got a functioning timeline here. Bloodthirst, Bloodthirst, Bloodthirst. He keeps doing Bloodthirst during the execute phase, even though he's not doing execute. Even though he's still doing execute, I mean. In this particular fight of Chromagos, he does it 8 times. And you see Heroic Strike is up. 25 seconds, 32 seconds. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, it would seem that he's doing execute when Bloodthirst is on cooldown, but when Bloodthirst comes off cooldown, he will do Bloodthirst plus Heroic Strike before going back to executing. Very interesting. That kind of makes sense. I am having a really hard time reading this. Like, why is this a single button when he casted it like 4 times? Very well, so he's definitely going for improved execute. That's what I trying to find out for the last couple minutes. But we can try to make a good guess here into what he's building. Once again, there is no talent inspection in Classic WoW, so that kinda sucks. But he's definitely going Fury, and he's definitely going for Enrage, because I don't see any other reason he will go for double sword specialization. I mean, he has to go Enrage anyway, because Flurry. I would say he's probably going for Unbridled Rat. I never recommend people to go for Unbridled Rat. You probably want to go for Booming Voice nowadays. But if you're the top of the world, that extra 1 raise you get when you auto attack, it matters for him. It's not gonna matter for you. Get Booming Voice, get free Battle Shouts and whatever. But that's definitely what you're doing if you are like at rank 1 level. Then he's going for improved Battle Shout, of course. Free damage. He is taking improved execute because he is actually executing. He is taking dual wield specialization, most definitely. He is taking Enrage because he needs Flurry. He is taking Death Wish. Obviously he's taking Death Wish. That's one of the reasons he's pumping so high is because he kills the bosses fast, and that means he has a very high uptime on Death Wish. He's gonna go for Flurry, of course, and Bloodthirst. So Flurry, 30% attack speed, the best talent in the game. Bloodthirst, the hardest hitting ability in the game, aside from, well, Pyroblast. Pretty standard so far. And then, of course, he's gonna go for Deep Wounds. We're gonna take 2 points in Heroic Strike because that's probably what he would do. I also heavily suspect that he is going for Anger Management. That's the, Tactical Mastery to preserve rage when he stance dances, because he obviously has the tier 1 set bonus that gives you 5% damage and 5% crit when you go to Berserker and to Battle Stance. So as you can see right here on these 2 bars over here, can I zoom in here? Well, I can't, that's a shame. Let me try this. You see how he's jumping this little dimple is Battle Stance, and then he's going to Berserker Stance back. He's overpowering. That's basically what he's doing. As you can see, he only does an overpower when he gets dodged, and he got 5 weapon skills, so it doesn't happen very often. So he has to Battle Stance sometimes just to keep the buff up on himself, the tier 1 set bonus anyway. But he is stance dancing constantly. Of course, you generate 10 rage when you stance dance. But yes, for all those reasons, I am pretty certain he's going for Tactical Mastery. Also, if we look at his resources, this is not quite true, but you can see his rage stays very freaking high the whole time, so there is no way he loses all his rage to do a stance dance. Of course, then we're gonna take Deep Wounds. We're gonna take 1 point in Anger Management, 1 point in Overpower, 2 points in Impale for extra crit, and that's pretty much it. Now, it is possible he took 2 points in Overpower and only 1 point, no point in Anger Management, I mean. Something like this could work, and if you don't have a lot of gear, that's something that I recommend you do. But I think with the 10% extra crit from the set bonus, he probably has enough crit that he can get very close to crit cap on Overpower without it. Either way, this build should be fine. Anger Management is not a big deal, and Overpower 25% crit is not a big deal at this amount of crit that he has. Now, if you take a look at the rotation, it's actually really freaking simple. You can see right here, but I'm gonna outline it for you in a way that's easy to remember. First of all, you should be casting Heroic Strike close to every single swing at this point. Your offhand should be generating almost infinite rage by the amount of crit he has. But number one in the priority, do Bloodthirst on cooldown. Bloodthirst hits the hardest, you gotta do it every time you can. After that, if you get a proc of Blood Surge, that's gonna be the second thing most important because it does damage with both weapons and now it hits really hard. Your slam hits super hard. I'm gonna drop a weak order that tells you when you get a proc on the Discord, the Warrior channel. After that goes Overpower. It's a guaranteed crit and it does a lot of damage, but it shouldn't do on average more damage than a slam yet because two weapons is pretty close. I would say that if you get a proc of Overpower, you're probably gonna do an Overpower proc anyway. You're gonna swap and do it because you gotta keep stance dancing all the time. That's the one thing you gotta remember. Take a look at the set bonus. Every 15 seconds you are gonna lose the debuff, so at least every 15 seconds you gotta go from a Berserker stance to Battle stance and then back to Berserker stance. So if you get an Overpower proc, in a lot of situations it is worth it. Even if you got a Bloodthirst up or anything, it is worth it just to do the swap and do the Overpower anyway, just because that's gonna save you the swap to a stance later, so that's gonna save you some time. And after that is gonna go Whirlwind, because Whirlwind now also hits with both weapons and it hits pretty freaking hard, even though it costs rage, so it is not as good. And the follow that is Exhausted. You can do Raging Blow as a filler. You got a lot of enrages now. You got Berserker Rage, you got Rampage, which by the way you gotta keep up all the time. That's gonna be out there in the rotation too. You gotta keep that up. And those are all enrages. You also got Blood Rage, so you should be able to do a Raging Blow whenever you want, really. You're gonna be enraged all the freaking fight. And now for the execute phase, because it took me a while to figure it out, and I think I'm gonna pick this up myself. I really like this way to do it. But when Bloodthirst is off cooldown, you're gonna do one Bloodthirst and one Heroic Strike, and after that you go straight back at spamming execute, and that's pretty much it. So execute, 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 Bloodthirst, Heroic Strike, execute, execute, execute. That's the best way I can put it, I guess. Which is a little more complicated, but it's still pretty simple and honestly a lot more fun than just spamming execute. Although some people seem to get like a weird pleasure of spamming execute. Some people really get off on it. Now, I could make a stat priority, but I feel that it doesn't make a lot of sense when we know what he's gonna wear anyway. He's taking 6-piece tier 1 for the bonus, and that means he's taking the bracers, the shoulders, the helmet, the chest piece, the pants, and the boots. That's the pieces he takes, because of course that way he can get the Onslaught Girdle, which is the best belt in the game. And he also takes Flame Guard gauntlets. Now, let me check tier 2 for a minute. Oh, I see, I see. Tier 2 gauntlets have hit instead of crit on it, so he's probably gonna stay this way. He's still gonna go for Flame Guard. I wonder if you change to tier 2, is it worth it to take the gloves? Is he gonna be out of hit? Well, no, there's no situation where he would take the gloves, because in that case, if he were to take the gloves, he would go for Lion Heart, I bet. So no. Okay, that's it, yeah. Whatever you're seeing here on Might, I suppose most likely he's gonna swap to Core Force Rat at some point. For some of the pieces, you're gonna have to look at your mismatching and see if you can get the hit cap, or if you cannot get the hit cap of Unstoppable Rat. Core Force, that means you gotta go and take the Might one, because chances are that one doesn't have hit or has hit. The other way around, you gotta play around with it. It sounds like very fun, the combinations you can go with it, depending on what you get on the drops. And then of course he's taking Quick Strike, super strong ring from Molten Core, and Don Julio's from PvP, 1% hit, 1% crit, one of the best rings in the game. He's using the Accursed Chalice. If you guys do not know what the Accursed Chalice is, it is just a fancier version of the Diamond Flask. You get it on Demonfall Canyon, but if you got the Diamond Flask, it's almost the same thing. As you can see, he's stacking a violent amount of crit here. He's also going for Hand of Justice, contrary to everybody else that says that Hand of Justice sucks and they tell me that you shouldn't use it anymore. They are using it, okay? It still works. Hand of Justice is a really good item. It generates rage, and it's effectively the same as 2% crit, because it's 2% chance of another hit, but it generates rage too. Even if you get a Heroic Strike, it still generates rage. I love Hand of Justice, okay? I'm not gonna change my mind. He has to use the Onyxia Scale Cloak on this fight, but otherwise he's gonna be using the Puissant cape, this cape right here. Oh, and look at that, that's really clever, okay? So in fights where he's afraid of trash mobs or Brutal Lash Layer, of course, this fight, you do it on the suppression room and there's a chance that you're gonna get hit by one of the mobs or whatever. He will tactically go for the Diamond Flask, because the Diamond Flask actually heals you instead of the Chalice. Also, I think if you swap them, you can reset the cooldown, so that might also be it. But they are the same item essentially, so yeah, Diamond Flask, consider yourself best in slot. slot is the same. 1% more crit, fine. And of course the necklace is Eshkandar's color, 1% more crit, really good. I just think it is really cool that you can still be in phase 4 gear and pump like a madman, you know, that should be a little hope to you out there that if you really try and you don't suck at the game like Medina, maybe you're gonna get somewhere in life. Gee, don't I wish that. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.